when you look at the audiences inside of YouTube and you see what's clicking and what's converting, you can kind of see the trend here. This is the exact opposite of Meta. Exact opposite. Meta shows 25 to 34 as our top line, and 65 plus is very, very little. When you look at the clicks and conversion rates between 55 and 64, where you have those clicks and those conversions, those clicks, those conversions, more interest in 65 plus, the amount of conversions, better conversion rate on 55 plus, and then it falls off a cliff heading the opposite direction. So we started to accidentally identify more of the older female demographic and then use that person in the ad. This is a company that sells a product you probably all have seen, and it is it's a pet hair rake. Now, this is something that you've probably seen the videos where it's like people that are scraping the carpet and all the hair comes up and that kind of stuff. It's, you know, you get your carpet looks fine, and then you use this little miniature microscopic rake, and all of a sudden all the hair comes out of your carpet, and it's like, oh my God, I didn't realize that I had a whole another dog stuck in my carpet, basically. Like, it's a really amazing, cool product. But then there's another product that is a new product that's a kit. And this kit is essentially nothing more than a vacuum cleaner with clippers stuck to it. It's amazing. It's lightweight, super powerful, all the good stuff, like easy to clean. Pick your unique selling proposition, insert here. Like, it's an awesome, awesome, awesome product. What we didn't truly understand was when we didn't do a target demographic or an avatar development, we stumbled upon it and we exacerbated it very, very well on accident. And I truly mean like on accident, because we're trying to back into, okay, what sort of identifications can we use inside of YouTube to say, aha, this is what is working, this is what is not working. And you know, one of the funniest accidental things that we did, and you probably can't tell here, but you can maybe see it. This is an elderly woman's hand. And elderly women apparently are our perfect demographic. Women of the ages of 55 and over. If you have to groom your dog, you don't want to go out there with scissors or clippers and try to hold a big dog. This thing, in the video shows how this thing, you know, sucks up the dog hair as it clips it, and it's mess free and all the other stuff. So we started to say, okay, well, I don't know why these rounds of ads are working so well. And this is a couple weeks ago. We're like looking, I'm like, things are just starting to really hum in YouTube. Like, it's starting to work well. We've tried 20 different videos. We found out the ones that are kind of working that are still on right now. And it's these 3 videos are working well, and we'll go through optimizations, but I want to kind of get to the big few ahas that is standard operating procedure now inside of YouTube. But when you look at the audiences inside of YouTube and you see what's clicking and what's converting, you can kind of see the trend here. Now, this is the exact opposite of Meta. Exact opposite. Meta shows 25 to 34 as our top line, and 65 plus is very, very little. When you look at the clicks and conversion rates between 55 and 64, where you have those clicks and those conversions, those clicks, those conversions, more interest in 65 plus, the amount of conversions, better conversion rate on 55 plus, and then it falls off a cliff heading the opposite direction. So we started to accidentally identify the more of the older female demographic and then use that person in the ad, where it's now you have the older hand that's a little bit more, or not as strong to pick up a 100-pound dog and like put him in a bed of a truck and go take him to the groomers or something like that. It's easy and it can be done from home. So our ad copy changing from a younger TikTok style to an older ease of use massively changed this thing to a point where we even said, okay, this is working. Let's bump this on the 25th. Like, let's go and take our cost on these people and go from $50 up to $350. Let's scale the impressions from 3,000 up to 23,000. Let's do a bump. And on the 25th, on that day, we saw a couple things that were interesting. And this is where people fail. This was one of our best days we ever had. We kept the same MER, 28% increase in spend, 32% increase in revenue. So our CAC and our MER stayed the same. Facebook ads did better. Amazon did better. YouTube, we spiked up, 300%. Looked like it quote unquote failed. But then since we're running Performance Max, ta-da, a 4X there.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. But then what was interesting is after that day, on the 25th, the 26th, and 27th, now all of a sudden YouTube is like, woo, now that's doing 100% better. And things are shifting back. Our first click is looking really terrible on YouTube, but our multi-touch is looking, our first click our first touch is looking good, but our multi-touch is bad. So it was like self-learning, and then started to introduce time lag because we were looking at this on a cash basis. So as soon as this blipped up here, the next few days looked amazing. The actual the guttural reaction from people that from this increase in ad spend, and we tested and we went from 3,000 views to 16,000 of a really good target demographic. Everything over the board, everything everywhere else was great. Ramped it back down, and then everything got worse. Like it was. I mean, it was clear as day. The only thing that didn't measure well or look like it had any sort of impact was YouTube.
YouTube.
Right. YouTube did the exact opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
We spiked
because there's no click.
YouTube looked worse. Right. YouTube looked really terrible. And then we ramped down YouTube, and YouTube's like, oh, yeah, that was me doing all that. I finally can attribute it 2 to 3 days later. But the biggest source of truth was that you can see how much money we're spending here in YouTube compared to, like, let's say Meta and 15K. This went from a 4% post-purchase survey.
That's literally, this is a day, right? I'm looking at this 26. Okay.
No, this is 2 days here. Yep. But what was interesting is on this day that we spiked it up on the 25th, and we said, okay, how'd this do? That brought all of the good lift and everything was really, really good. When we spiked up the YouTube ad spend on that day, compared to the day before, our post-purchase survey said 4% of all of the sales of that kit came from YouTube. The 25th, 16% of all of the sales of that kit that day said that they found out about us through YouTube. And those are the only ones that we can track that didn't go to Amazon, which is 30 of 57,000. So we spiked up YouTube. Post-purchase survey said went from 4% to 16%, even though we're only spending about 10%. So now the post-purchase survey ratios of people who are buying from us from YouTube are vastly outpacing the amount of money that we're spending on YouTube compared to Meta. Post-purchase survey was a really good indicator. Post-purchase survey also is at random. So the answers are always jumbled. It's not just YouTube number one. You have to make sure that YouTube is sometimes first, then seventh, then ninth, and then sometimes gone, and whatever it is. So we using good testing and post-purchase survey. But that was my first indicator where it's like, if I spike this up and people come in, recency bias, if also first click is accurate, so say that I found you on YouTube, and that worked. So like, okay, so we found the right ad copy, obviously to the right audience, that when we spike it up, even though YouTube looks like it did the worst in terms of media efficiency ratio, it brought a whole bunch of new customers or new visits to the site. Yeah. So our ECPNV on YouTube was better than Google and better than Facebook. Subsequent days of measurement should show that after the 25th, the 26th, and 27th, here, so
you did a 1 day spike and then nothing after that,
spike.
Just to see, all right, just to test this. In essence. Okay, got it.
Because we already had 4%, 5% of everyone saying, yeah, we found out about you on YouTube. When we introduced YouTube, it did actually have a good top line result.
Okay.
And then let me get to the correct visuals.
The others I have to assume were Google, just like Google search.
No, pretty much Meta. Google it's running PMax now.
Okay.
Yeah, PMax that's what's funny is as soon as we started spiking up on YouTube, you get like PMax all products like, yeah, I'm doing much better. And then PMax gets like, I can spend 14% less to make 42% more conversion value. And I'm hit a 500 ROAS. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, Performance Max is all of a sudden just going really, really good out of nowhere. I wonder why. And it's like, did you know that all of these people Googling your brand are now Googling it much, much more often in these days? It's like, yes, of course, because you spike up YouTube and Uproot Clean makes $2,000, which is a 285% increase than the prior 2 days. Wow, shocker. So when you spike up YouTube the following 2 days, Performance Max is like, look at these 500-600% ROASs from your brand that came out of nowhere at 285% increase in the last 2 days for fun. So
if you were the average marketer, you just say spend more money on your Performance Max.
Exactly. And like, YouTube didn't really work. Look, we spent 138% more and we lost 10%.
All right, so I'm going to take a step back here. So you figured out.
One last thing, I will. Okay, I have to throw.
I won't summarize
your plan.
The John 10 quite yet.
Not yet,
I'm ready.
But last but not least, you look at this here and say, is this strategy working? Yes. I mean, going all the way back to like March 1st, because we launched YouTube a few weeks ago at a level, like you can clearly see this one product that is the only thing we're marketing on YouTube in Performance Max, just reached new levels of new heights. Right. So that's why people suck at YouTube, is because it's extremely difficult to measure trends. I'll stop there.